Good day, Southeast Iowa. We are so excited to have you on the King Kong Trail. And joining us for this special edition of the King Kong Trail, we have a special guest who is going to be a new friend. I just have a feeling, Doug, that she is going to be a new friend of ours. And her name is Alyssa Pacheco. Hi, Alyssa.
Hi. Thank you for having me, Amy. How are you doing?
I'm doing really great. It's been a good day, and the weather's changing. And I just feel like we should go get some s'mores and throw some fire in the thing and just like
Space heater.
Space heater. Oh,
Space
yes.
heater.
I agree. All of the above. I love a good s'more. I love a good fire. I feel like the energy of everything coming up finally October is past due. I feel like we've had a couple 80-degree weather days in us that were not quite so in accordance with October. So I'm ready for the season to finally change.
Me too. Although we had BLTs tonight, and I was still able to go get some tomatoes right off my little vines. I'm like, score, because I did not buy them from the store. They are not the same.
You know, both and is good. Both and is good.
Yes. Okay, so Alyssa, we met you down at Farmers Market in front of Burlington by the Book. Our friend Chris had you out there signing your books, and you are a poet, correct?
I am, yes. So my book babies, so I currently have 2 published, and I'm working on publishing my 3rd, and then formatting, writing up my 4th. So my first book baby is titled Dear Desperation. Melancholic in nature, right? The name kind of gives it away, if you will. But it's my coming of age story from containing poems from when I was 14 to 25. And for me, it was sort of a tell-all. I think my ideology with this specific piece, Dear Desperation, was if it's emotionally charged, if it's vulnerable, if it feels a little bit too much, then that's sort of my sign to publish it. That's the push the envelope moment. That is what is going to ignite emotions from people. And that's, if I were to be asked now or 10 years from now what my goal is in publishing and in writing, it's to make people feel something, whether that's, and that's a spectrum, whether someone resonates with it, that's one feeling, whether someone feels ashamed or like, why would she publish this? This is sort of embarrassing. It's all a spectrum of emotion. And so on the one end where people feel empowered by virtue of reading something that I've written and published, that's amazing. On the other spectrum where people feel a sense of embarrassment or a sense of shame, that's still something to reconcile with. It's just a different sort of spectrum of reconciliation where embarrassment is a layered unpacking of, well, are you embarrassed for me or embarrassed because you understand and you're embarrassed you empathize with me? It's a both and for me. And so I really live a lot in that space of both and. I don't really like to splice things into it's this way or that way. It's black and white. I think it's very much a collection of feelings, and I live wholeheartedly in the spectrum of feelings, which actually bleeds as a great transitionary point into my second book, Love in Liquid Form, which is at its core discussing the liquidity of love. And I say that very intentionally. When I say that, it sounds sort of vague in nature, and I think that's serves a purpose, if you will. But the liquidity of love, encompassing, right, that people think of love as this very binary, very, you're in it or you're out of it. You are encapsulated in it or you're on the outskirts of trying to find it. And I feel like it's actually more wholehearted than that. It encompasses a lot more relationship aspects than just an intimate relationship with a partner, if you will. So in this book, Love in Liquid Form, it's a short, right? So my first book is 169 pages, 165 actually, with or without, right, the ISBN pages and copyright. So the second book, it's only half that. And that was intentional. It's sort of to make something that is, I published it this time last year around Valentine's Day as a Valentine's Day special. And having it be a little bit shorter, I included some sketches in there instead of the first book, Dear Desperation, included photography.
Okay.
From when I was younger, right, until the present moment before I published Dear Desperation. And Love in Liquid Form for me was about again, of course, intimate love, being married, now divorced. There's both of those narrative inclusions. Being a mother, there's maternal love.
That is an amazing love. You don't expect it to hit you the way it does.
And it catches you off guard in a way that you're like, wait a second, I thought this was very alphabetical, for lack of a better way to put it. Like, you thought it was going to be very structured, very compartmentalized, and it's so not, which catches you off guard.
So did you think it was that way before you had a child? Now, for me, I'm a reader. I love books. And when I was pregnant, I was reading books on pregnancy. I was reading, just parenting books, and also getting to know the stories of people that I thought were great parents, and, just kind of gleaning from other people's things that they did great and things that they wish they would have done differently. But nothing compares you, I think, or prepares you for when they actually place the baby in your arms. And you're like, sometimes some of those things make sense. And sometimes it's just like all that goes out the window because it's a brand new chapter.
I agree.
So is that kind of when you say how that worked with you?
So I was, if we can use the term crunchy, if I use that word, are you guys familiar?
Oh yeah, I'm crunchy.
Okay, so I still think
crunchy.
I am borderline crunchy, right? So like the one-liner I will use when I describe the relationship I had with my sense of self, my identity, my orientation and relationship with the world, consumption, output, all of that jazz. It was a complete 180, not overnight, but over the series of 6 months. So right before I had my son, and I'll say this is probably my one-liner, right, is before I had my child, and I love him to death, I used to make my own deodorant. After I had my child, did I even put on deodorant today? Like, I think it's such a, just complete 180, and doesn't happen overnight, so it takes a little bit to get used to. We cloth diapered my son until he was 14 months old, because I was just like hell-bent on consumption and waste and disposal, and it takes 500 years for a diaper to decompose, all of those numbers and data and metrics. Then you get 6 months in and you're like, I'm so overwhelmed, I just want to sleep for 30 minutes. Or I am just so depleted of breastfeeding, and I have all these diapers to wash, and I have baby food that I said I was going to prepare, and can I just get the baby formula from wherever, you know what I mean? You get to this sort of there's a means to an end, and there's the means to an end that makes you feel self-fulfilled. And I think there's both, like I said, there's always a spectrum. So if you do store-bought formula, or I keep saying formula, but I want to say baby food. Store-bought baby food for one end of it, and then you do baby-led weaning for one night. Both are great. But for me, I had a hard time compartmentalizing those two things as both being good for a while. And so through my writing, that was a way for me. And let me take that specific example I gave of the baby food and making your own baby food and extrapolate that to being home for the majority of, I had a COVID baby. My son was born November 2020. So he's coming up on his golden birthday, November 5th. He will turn 5. So much to celebrate, but still much to reconcile with as far as having a child when the world was in lockdown, right? It puts a different emphasis on the way you have a relationship with your child that I don't know if a lot of what people would categorically call themselves working moms have had that relationship with prior, because it was a fluidity of me working, being at home with him, and then all of a sudden when the world decided to get ramped up again and opened back up again, he had to get used to me not being home as well.
Right.
Which was new for both of us, because it was a 1.5, 2 year period of the world being slowly thawing to opening back up in a general normal, if you will.
The new normal.
Wait,
and I hated that word.
And that's a great reference point, because the new normal is still so vague. There, in the same way there was a March 13th, we're shutting down. There was never a February 1st, 2023, we're opening back up. There was never a really specific.
It was very slow steps.
Yes.
Very slow steps.
And so we had to get used to a lot of that. And so to answer your question, no, I read all the baby books. And no, as their answer, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Both because there wasn't the whole. One of the books I'll say that I read and I have the utmost respect for, and my takeaways are The Conscious Parent, and that was about basically the largest takeaway there was reconciling with the fact of the question: am I on a team with society, or am I in a team with my child? And being with that very statement, that's what I always go back to, where, say, for example, you're in a store and your child is throwing a fit, whether it's because they're hungry, tired, had a long day, a spectrum of emotions that are totally theirs to have and occupy, and we have to deal with as their parent, help them navigate, say, hey, look, you're doing too much. I'm not going to help you navigate this right now. I'm overwhelmed as well. Whatever the situation may be, it just put it into my mind frame as far as, oh, wait, this person isn't an extension of me, as much as we as parents want to put our kiddos in our back pocket and say, you are of me. You will do as I say, not as I do. Follow my rule. All of that. It comes with older, sort of style of parenting. And for me, it was, wait a second, am I in a team with my kid or am I in a team with society? So my kiddo's throwing a fit in the aisle because they want a toy. Am I going to look at this person casting judgment to me to my left or to my right, whether they're an acquaintance or an elder, throwing out these subconscious cues of, oh man, like, if that was my kid, I would never. Or, if only child rearing was still full force, right? Those sort of subconscious cues where it takes a lot of self-discipline, and I've not yet mastered it, right? There's times where I'm like, leave the whole cart. We're leaving. We're getting nothing. I'm not tolerating this behavior. There's other moments where I have more patience with myself and with my child where I'm like, you must be tired. Like, can we like negotiate here? You want one toy and we just like don't get the other because like this is $60 of toys. We just really don't need all that in a one-time store visit, right? A lot of it is whatever way I'm also showing up as a parent that day. It's not a spectrum of, or it is a spectrum rather, of where are we both at that we can meet each other versus him showing up perfectly and me showing up as a perfect model, because there's no situation where that's ever going to be a perfect equilibrium.
Right. Well, and it also depends on how tired you are and everything else like that. And I know for me, like as my children got older and as I figured out things like that, we had one of the things that we started doing was, you want that? Okay, let's put it on a list.
Yes.
So we had a magic list that the kids, by the time they got home, they just totally forgot about putting anything on the list. But, because one of the things that's really hard for anybody, especially a child, is delayed gratification.
Yes.
It's hard for adults nowadays. We don't like to wait for anything. We are an instant society. We like instant mashed potatoes, but real potatoes taste better.
So good.
We like instant everything. Just add water. You plant a plant. You're like, come on, grow. And
yes,
we forget to take time to enjoy just the sprout and just the the breaking in the ground and the all the things that come with growth. And like, if you get to know me, you'll know that I have no patience.
What?
I am so proud of you, honey. Okay, so
Amen. Okay.
yeah, but I think so many parents try to pour from an empty cup. So many people in any relationship try to pour from an empty cup, and there's you have to be able to fill your cup so that you can, when the time comes, when the tantrums come, which they will, when the people are cutting in front of you in line, which they will, or going too slow in front of you in the fast lane, they will,
yeah,
making sure that your cup, you have something to fill that cup. And
I agree.
Sometimes we have to fill each other's cups too. So, I think, today's society, we are very segregated in, we don't know our neighbors. We don't know the people down the street. We don't know, people in cubicles right next to us. We don't know people's stories. And that's why we were talking earlier, people's stories are sacred. That's one of the things that I believe. And so I think if we just got to know each other's stories, if we just got to know each other, we can help each other through so much. So when you say, is my child, am I on my child's team or the community's team? It's both. You have to have that community, the network, because it's really hard in today's society to, be a parent by yourself.
I agree. And so, kind of with that in mind, I think it's one of the things, you talk about creating community in maternity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's sort of, I agree, it's something that is still very much desirable, but I think it's a bit, depending on what, people, there's been a lot of talk lately about, everybody wants a village, but nobody wants to be a villager. And so there's been a lot of thought that I've been putting into, well, how can I show up as a villager with or without kiddos, right? Whether it's somebody being a steward of an amazing artistic idea they have, and if they just need a hype woman or somebody to maybe create a logo or a flyer or something that seems very like low-hanging fruit on maybe a personal skill set of mine that I have that can really give some momentum to whatever idea, artistically or individually, whatever it may be, that the village has. And the reason I say that, right, so open-endedly is because I feel like as we get more connected with social medias and the idea of people, and I say that very intentionally, as we get more connected with the idea of people rather than people themselves, it gets a bit harder to connect on a genuine level. And by that, I mean, we all put out on social media our highlight reels and really shy away from exposing, if that's a good choice of word to use, the nitty gritty, the things that don't glimmer or glisten, the things that are a bit, edgy and raw to a degree. And I think there's a layer of like embarrassment that comes with being your full authentic self online, because everyone probably has in the back of their brain, what's online lives forever. And
it does.
Be careful what you post online because it'll be there to haunt you in a way that, yes, 110% agree. But I think that as a writer, as a poet, you walk that very thin line between if there's a means to an end of exposing this rigidity or exposing this vulnerability or this rawness that connects with 5 people, 10 people, 1,500 people, right? Well, then that's worth it. You just kind of have to have the question mark or like your metric of like, well, what would it be? What would the numeric value have to be for it to be worth it? And so for me, I've just kind of boiled that down to, well, 1 person, 2 people, sure. To make it like kind of more tangible, less high stakes, if you will, right? If we have to put a certain bounds on it. Or when you're creating that community, I feel like it's really matters on who your target is when you're putting yourself out there. And so I admire what you guys are doing, right? You guys are have an intention on connecting with folks who have a touch point to the area, who have stories to be told. You guys want to tell them, produce them, enhance them, if you will, rather than it being something that could be boiled down to just a conversation over a iPhone recording. You guys are putting in the work to make sure that it's something that sounds of quality, that is produced and shared in that same capacity, right? So that in and of itself is a story of a story, or a story of stories, if you will. And that is a reflection of the community that you guys are wanting to cultivate and share in the village.
And we've put out some bad ones.
Yeah, we've learned along the way.
Yeah, a lot of technical difficulties and noises in the background, and it's still not perfect. But
I mean, it all has to start somewhere, and that was sort of so I have my own publishing company, right? And so one of those things that I've been really steadfast on saying is, well, you can't finish unless you start. Even if there is a finish line, we'll put that in quotes, right? Because as you guys are probably aware, if you think you're doing one thing, you're setting out to do one thing, and then it really has
takes a life
habit of transpiring into other things, which is great. But it still sort of leaves you up in the air of like, wait, what was the goal again? And does this fit in the goal? Is this a tangent of that goal, or is this a complete deviation that we need to really revisit? And I think with writing, it's a collection of all of that. Like I feel like Love in Liquid Form for me, my second book was a challenge point, if you will, of trying to take all of these loose-ended thoughts where it's like, you have the love of the one that got away. You have the marriage, you have self-love, maternal love, love of your siblings, love of nature, love of the idea of being loved, which is so airy and so like buoyant that it doesn't really give you a lot to grab onto, that it kind of just sounds like that's a cool idea of a thing, right? But I really tried to hone in on that as the overarching theme of love in liquid form, is that it is liquid. It's not something you can just take down and nail into a board and say, this is that. Love is so fluid by nature that I feel like as a society, we've done a real good job of boiling it down to marriage or family or child, mother, in those confinements. But I mean, personally, especially now that I'm going through, divorce, all of those different things, I've been placing a real emphasis on romanticization of my friendships and showing up in that capacity in a way that's, like my friend has had a hard day. Well, we both know we're single. We both know that we're the most involved on a daily measure of each other's lives. We know each other's intimate thoughts in this capacity. I'm going to bring her roses in dinner because I know she's probably just not feeling like cooking dinner. And who doesn't enjoy roses? Right. Right. Where that doesn't have to just be reserved for the traditional intimate, monogamous relationship with an intimate partner. And extrapolating that intimacy can be a bit more unbounded than I think what society has kind of put parameters on currently. And leaning into that. And I think that this book kind of allowed me to tether into that a little bit before I even really was ready to step into it. It was more like, you have the idea of something before you start to construct it. That sort of thing.
Yeah, you have a goal, and then you have steps, and then you think, are these the right steps toward? Is what I'm doing now even geared towards that? Or you're saying the different types of love, and we use the same word love for pizza that we do for people, that we do for all these different things. And, in some of the, in Greek, what we translate into love, phileo would be that brotherly love, the love of your fellow person. Eros, of course, the romantic. Agape is that giving, the, a very intimate, a very sacrificial love. And we lose, I think, and sometimes we lose what the depth of meaning for some of these words are, because we overuse them on simple things. Like I do love a good pizza. Yeah. But I don't, I'm not going to marry pizza. I married him.
Yes. Yes.
And he's much better than pepperoni. So, I mean, there's just, the things even like love, the things that the feelings, love, even hate, anger, all these different things, we simplify them sometimes because I don't know, there's something about being able to express what you really mean with, what is that song? More Than Words?
By Extreme.
Yes, that one. Just
yes,
yeah. And that one just came to my mind, and I'm like, okay. I
was like, I could start singing it, but I don't know if that's what we signed up for. No, and there's a portion actually. Yeah. There's, as you said, Eros, right? So there's an excerpt from Love in Liquid Form where I even said even Eros fell victim to Aphrodite, right? Even love falls victim to the essence of beauty and the ideology of what love seems to encapsulate and what it actually boils down to, right? Like you get to really know someone, you get to really love someone, and it's not quite so pretty. It's not quite so iridescent and amazing and bubbly and airy. A lot of it is the grit. A lot of it is the seeing people for their core human and deciding, this is what love is actually all about. It's not quite so high level. It's a bit more boiled down.
And sometimes it's just that dedication to a commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your second book. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Dear Desperation. You said you started writing some of these poems when you were 14.
Yes.
So take me back to when you were 14.
Oh, what do you want to know?
When people start writing poetry, especially 14's what freshman. I'm guessing you're about a freshman, stuff like that. And there's just a lot of change because junior high to freshman, different things like that. What were some of the things that inspired you at that time to say, I'm going to put this down on paper?
So I think let's take it from a very just functional position first, right? So I am one of 4 daughters to a single mother. Amazing mom, love her to pieces. She's always been very engaged in her emotional intelligence that she's, and accessibility that she has had with us into our adulthood, and specifically that she had with us when we were in our young adulthood. And I think that it kind of boiled down to at the end of the day, hey, there's one of me and there's 4 of you. And all of my siblings and I are about 18 months apart, right? So it was a hiccup between this issue socially, emotionally, relationship-wise to this, that like it just was never ending for her. And it was a spectrum of similar themes, but different timings that she's like, I just really need an opportunity to like have you guys organize what it is that's bothering you, what it is that is top of mind for each of you, and then bring it to the table for a conversation. I wish we had more of them now, and maybe we're perhaps getting back on that bandwagon, right? But when we were younger, we had family meetings to bring anything to the forefront, whether it was personal things, social, emotional things, familial things. What is bothering you today, last month, this week, that you would like to have an opportunity to talk about? And it was just a no judgment. You couldn't pee till you got it off your chest. I mean, it was just everyone's in here for the conversation, and there's no escaping it, right? For lack of a better way to say that. I think that my mom was very adamant on wanting us to be comfortable in speaking up and saying what was on our mind, but she was sort of very much like a no bullshit type of mom, that she's like, if you have something to say, I need you to be very prepared in what you're going to say. Like we all have so much going on that like you can't waste anybody's time. And so that was always on my mind, was taking what I had. What am I feeling? Putting pen on paper. Okay, get it out. Revisit it a week or 2 later. Maybe I have more clarity on what it is that I actually felt. Revisit it a month later. Go back and reference. For me, that latter, I always had a sort of rule for myself, right? That if I put something on paper, I'm putting it out there. I'm not putting it out there for me to read, Nancy Joe to read, my sister to read, my boyfriend to read, none of it. It's going out there for me to read, for me to put down, and that's it. And so my rule for myself was I would never look back. And part of that was because if I was going to be most authentic, that was at the time when I was 14, 15, 16. I hadn't yet reconciled with authenticity doesn't mean full exposure. And by that, I mean that you can be your authentic self and saying, I feel this, I feel that. And that's authentic. Versus full exposure is writing down, I feel this because so-and-so said this snide comment about me. I feel this because, like, listing out each detail, logistics, very over-explaining, if you will. And so it took me quite a long time. I mean, I would say even until now, I'm still say that phrase in my head on a daily basis. Authenticity doesn't mean full exposure. And so at that point, writing down was just a way for me to just be heard, even if it was by nobody but myself. And just to sort of have something to reference, even for if it was for my own self identity purposes and self-reflection of how did I feel last month? Is there a congruence with how I feel this month, or has it dissipated? Am I over that? Whatever that was. And I think a lot of it too was, different brackets of socioeconomic status, I think, breed different resources, right? And so I'll be very clear when I say that. I mean, being raised in a lower socioeconomic bracket, you feel this, I think, looming understanding that there's things that are less accessible to you as there are to others. And with that overarching looming awareness, you start to understand, okay, therapy might be a tangent of accessibility for people that have insurance. What is my therapy? And you start to get creative with that. Is it an outreach counselor? Is it some program that you're involved with that you found somebody that's a sounding board? Is it, in my experience, journaling? Is it talking with a mentor who wants to see you get out of the mud, for lack of a better way to visualize that, right? And so it's all of it. And I think for me, I just so happen to be very lucky and blessed to not only find writing, but find comfort and now in hindsight, a little bit of leveraged talent in writing that as I shared that writing with people, they resonated. It was a little bit validating to say, oh, I don't only feel this, but so many other segments of people in society resonate with this. They don't only resonate with this, but this somehow makes them feel better just by being seen. That makes them feel better.
That's one of the things in society. I want people to be seen. I want, I know that, you walk by someone and we're trained as Americans. How are you? As we walk past somebody, drives me nuts. If I don't have time to stop, I'll just say, hello. I really try not to ask, how are you? If I can't stop right then and there and let someone answer.
Yeah.
We're really quick to go on to the next thing because we are over scheduled. We have things that we think we should do just because society says, you have to have all this stuff, making your own deodorant, like you said earlier.
Yes.
all these different things. But there's that give and take. But when you have people being able to stop, look them in the eye, unless if they look down, then sometimes cultures you don't look people in the eye because it's a sign of aggression. So
right.
Being culturally aware, I guess, or you don't want to go, hey, how you doing?
Right.
And freak people out.
Overwhelm folks.
I'm also good at that, but just having people be seen and heard.
Yeah.
And that's why we do this podcast. I like to get to know people's stories. I think, if we knew where people were coming from, we'd have a lot more grace for the smaller things that seem insignificant after we get to know why they do something or something like that. There's room for growth for everybody. And
agree.
so, I like to get to know people, and through journaling and things like that. That's one of the ways. When I was a kid, I did that a lot too, and I still do. I just think that is one of the most amazing things you can do to help get things out there. So you said earlier you had your own publishing company. Can you tell us, I did not know that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for asking. So the name of the publishing company is A. Pacheco Publishings. So first name is Alyssa. The A comes from that. Pacheco, obviously a derivative of my married name, which I am retaining. I've put a lot of branding into that, so we'll be keeping that. So my publishing company, basically I've published both of my books through there, and I'm taking on a few different clients actually this year.
Nice.
To get some of their work published, in addition to whether that be just a short, a calendar, a few zines that people just want to, get out there in the world. I feel like it is worth it to just put yourself out there. And one of the things that I've been putting on the forefront is making myself accessible in a way that what I've gathered is you have some folks like, you guys, if you were to go into community of people who wanted to start a podcast, it might come to your forethought to be like, well, it's tangible. It's super tangible in this way, this way, and this way, because you guys have done it. Where it almost feels like that this industry like the back of your hand, where it almost seems like odd that people have questions about it. You're like, well, like, isn't it self-explanatory? You just start the podcast.
We still ask so many questions.
Right. And I'm sure it's always like a never-ending learning curve, and same as well. But I run into a few different instances where it's almost like this huge looming question mark of, I don't even know where to start. Like, I want to get published, but I just don't know like what to do, when. And this is like my publishing company is a happy medium, because it's like, well, you let me know what your end goal is, and I can help facilitate that, meeting that for you, right? Like if your end goal is to be in, off the bat, a New York Times bestseller and being all these different book companies, well, then I'm perhaps not the publishing company for you, because I'm going to also require a bit of self understanding, if that's a good way to put it, and self, like you're showing up for yourself. The one thing I've always taken away is when you do consulting, you can't show up for the client more than the client is willing to show up for themselves. And that's a huge thing. And the underscore of that is, sure, I will publish your book for you. We'll get you into bookstores, but you can't be afraid to go out there and put yourself out there, and with the mentality of the worst they can say is no. That's the mentality I operate on. Come under the wing. We'll do some really cool stuff for you. We're going to get you connected with all the connections that I have, things that I've done on my own merit, being in bookstores right from California, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, all across the country. Those relationships have been made. The touch points have been touched. It's more so, are you willing to put yourself out there in connection with me to be an advocate for your own work? And there's no good or bad in the yes or no answer. There's no shame or goodwill in the yes or no answer. It's basically, are you wanting to just, it boils down to, are you wanting to just have a piece of work that is traditionally published that you want to share with friends and family? Let's say it's a 35 to 40, 50 at the most bandwidth of reach. Or are you wanting to scale up? Are you wanting to have a website built for you? Business cards, workshops, poetry open mics. What is it that you're wanting to do? We can make that happen. I just need to have an accurate understanding of what it is that you're wanting to do.
Right.
And so I think right now it's still a bit of in that gray area for me, where I'm not really saying no to a lot of clients. It's more of let's have a sit down conversation, and do we fit for each other? And I feel like that do we fit is so important in the infancy of a business rather than the later years, because those core 5 to 10 clients you take on in your first 5 to 7 years are either going to absorb that energy and propel you. You propel each other, all the
energy out,
or suck it all in. Yes.
Yeah.
And see, you have to have that trust in your gut feeling, whether it's for another reason other than, I just don't know if we communicate well. I don't know if when I speak, you actually are absorbing what I'm saying, or if it just feels good in the moment and then there's no action items to follow up on that front. Those are all important. And for me, I've been operating with that mentality of, there's no good fit or bad fit. I take those words out of the equation. You're just not a fit. And then for no good reason, for literally no good reason other than it just doesn't jive. And that's going to be more long-winded than just saying, let's force it. Let's see what happens.
Well, and if you force something for years, and you said those first clients are kind of like the bedrock of the clientele that you'll have. And if something ends badly later, you're going to be more invested. They're going to be more invested. It's going to be bigger feelings, bigger, just all of
it.
Yeah. And so, it makes sense to, especially when you're first starting, to get those people that are like-minded in their commitment to what they want to put out. So that makes a lot of sense. Where's your distribution and different things like that? Are you local here, or how do you do that?
Thank you for asking. Yeah, so if you're asking for like publishing in general, it's in the virtual realm, if you will, right? I don't know if you've heard about Ingram Spark.
Have we heard about Ingram Spark?
Totally okay if not.
I don't know.
I don't think I have.
So
tell me about it.
I definitely will. It's basically an extension. So I go through a company that's an extension of Ingram Spark, where it's what pretty much makes it feasible to have your book picked up on Amazon. As much as I not lack of a shout out, if you will, to Amazon. I just don't particularly care for Amazon. But it's available on Amazon, Thrift Books, Barnes & Noble, your own website. Basically what makes it possible for you to get a book when you hear on a podcast, available wherever you get books. That's what makes it possible, right? You can go into your local bookstore and say, I'd like to get Alyssa Pacheco's book, and these are the 2 titles that I've heard she does. And they can order it in and have it delivered to you this time next week. So that's how I go about local distribution. So, I mean, currently I'm at, as far as the Quad Cities realm is concerned, right? The Atlas Collective, at the Brood Book, looking to get into a few different other bookstores here in the area, looking to potentially host some open mics and some poetry workshops at the Brood Book.
Where's the Brood Book at?
That's in Davenport.
Davenport, okay.
Yes, so that's in Davenport. So I'm actually, and that's in addition to being at Burlington by the Book. And I would love if Chris would be open to having some open mics in his cute little shop, but we'll see what I can shake up.
That might, Chris, I know you're watching this. So that might be kind of a fun thing to do at Christmas time. They have on Jefferson Street. They have living windows, and so a lot of different places host different events.
Yeah.
So
that would be really interesting.
Yeah, and we've done a podcast at his shop.
Yeah, we
And so that was fun.
That would be fun. Maybe we'll have to, Chris, if you're seeing this, please bookmark that idea, and I'll follow up with you accordingly. No, I think that'd be awesome. But I mean, as I said earlier, I operate with the worst they can say is no mentality. And so when I think about local authorship, I feel like it's this area of, if you're in an hour to 45-minute arm reach of me, you're local. And the reason I think so heavily and believe so heavily in that is it's an all connected spectrum. You don't think there's people that are in Peoria talking about the art scene in Burlington or in Iowa City or Des Moines or Cedar Rapids. It's so connected, and that's what I've come to know. There's an open mic I go to every first and third Thursday in Peoria called Whisper and Shout. It's at the Contemporary Art Center, and you get amazing poets headlining the show from Houston to St. Louis to California to, just all across the country. It's kind of mind-blowing sometimes to think, well, what are you doing in Peoria, Illinois? You know what I mean? And not to diminish it, but we said earlier, if it plays in Peoria, whole, and I think that is a reference point to be reconciled with. If it can come here and be accepted, well then shit, let it go anywhere and let it be accepted widely. But yeah, I think that the Brood Book in Davenport, I think that to me was, it sounded neat as far as the owner being open-minded to doing some workshops there that weren't so structured in let's get together and put our nose into a book and study the literature as much as we're getting together as a community and either discussing literature that has been read as a common consensus, right? Or just creating. And not having it be very much bound to anything other than we're all getting together because we love poetry, we love spoken word, we love being in front of an audience, we love connecting, and having that just be the foundation for why you're getting together to make it almost like a low-cost entry. And low expectations, I think, to me, breed the most impactful reward because people have the freedom to say, I'm not in this bounds of this is what I should come to the table with and be expected. Oh, wait, that doesn't fit what I'm interested in. I'm not going to go. Leaving it really open-ended, I think, creates a lot more opportunity than trying to label it too much to a degree.
Right. I used to work in a nursing home, and one of the things that we did, we didn't do it very often, but when we did, it was the elders had a lot of fun. But we would get a small group and we would sit in a circle, and I would start a story. I would start one line, and then they would just add to the story. And then we would write down what they were adding to the story. And then we would read back where this wild tale, it always went wacky. It just always was crazy fun. And and they were like, well, who added that line? And and all these different things. And it was, you wrote down exactly what they said. And sometimes it made sense to the story. And sometimes it was like, I don't think they had their hearing aids in. I don't think they heard what,
Yep.
and that's fine. But they, it was, there's something about coming together and being part of a story, being able to be the author of that story. And when I remember one time we did that, and someone recognized their line that they put on, they put in, because we did a few rounds, and they're like, I wrote that. That's my line.
I love that.
And I'm like, you remembered what you said. So, it was, because I mean, just stories and things like that, they take a life of their own, because when you can get people with different perspectives, people with different stories, people with different ideas, and you can create something really great with that. So,
and I think to riff off of that a little bit, you talk about right, the perspective of the individual that you were talking with saying, I remember what I wrote, and that being an important resonant point with them. In the same capacity as when you're writing something and you're sharing something and you have somebody come back to you and say, I remember what you wrote. That really stuck with me. It's a whole different sort of like warm and cozy feeling that like I don't think you're ever really comfortable with, because there's always the shock value of, oh, you never know what's going to meet somebody where they're at in their current life season. You never know what's going to sort of resonate with somebody and stick out the most with them when you're just writing. You're just, in my opinion, getting off of your chest what you feel is necessary to share and express. And you don't, you hope that it's going to impact somebody. You hope that it's going to resonate with a certain collective. But until you get people coming back to you saying, no, that was powerful. That really stuck with me. I'm going to keep that in my back pocket for years to come. It's a whole different awakening to, oh, maybe I should pursue this a bit more intentionally. Oh, maybe I should. I mean, if there's any, sure, my mom and my loved ones and everyone else who believes in me is a great motivating factor for me to continue writing. But more than anything, it's the people that you don't know, the people that just slide in your DMs saying, you know what, this really hit me and I appreciate you sharing this because it made me feel a little bit more human. It made me feel as though what I'm going through isn't quite so isolating, quite such an isolating experience as I thought it was going into it, or as I'm going through it. So actually a few pieces in there that stuck out to me when you brought that up, as far as the things that stick out to people. And you put those in your back pocket as a performer, right? So I'm a poet that also performs and does spoken word. You keep those in your back pocket. If for nothing else, you're at like a wit's end of, what do I share? Well, I know this gets people's goat, right? Like, you know what I mean? Just sort of that little thing of, you always have your fail-safe and people motivate you and reassure you. But I thrive off of, and I really enjoy when you share new pieces, thinking, how is this going to resonate? How is this going to hit people where it matters most? And when I say the phrase, how is this going to hit people where it hurts? That sounds aggressive in nature, but I feel like it's actually uplifting from my perspective, because how is this going to hit people where it hurts means that it's on their way up to healing.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, we went to, a couple weeks ago, we went to see a comedian, and one of the lines that he said is, I say things that you guys are all thinking, but you can't say because, it's not necessarily social, but that's what makes it funny.
Yes.
And I think somewhat in the same way, being able to put down on paper, and then when someone can go, that's meaningful to them.
Yeah.
You give them words for the feelings that they had. And, I have some favorite authors, as a kid growing up and different things. And the poetry that they had, I was just like, because they were giving words, they were giving legitimacy to the things that, I was going through at the time. And I think that is something that, when, like you said, when someone says that meant something to me, that's got to be a great feeling. So, Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, it makes you feel a bit more authentic in being seen versus just vulnerable in exposing yourself.
Right.
I think that's saying the same thing in a different essence, but I feel like it's the same in the same stride as people only think you're foolish until you make it, and then they realize it was there's always a means to an end. It's just a matter of the breaking point of, did you get past that bliss point of, is it cool and accepted versus cringy and authentic? And they're both the same thing. It's just a matter of social acceptance around the thing.
Right. And sometimes it's just being able to find the words. And then
Yeah.
as you do, as you craft that more, and, you know, I think, you know, I that would come easier because
Yeah.
you're, you know, I think once you put things down on paper, the first time it can be scary because you're like, once, you know, like you get, I don't know if you ever did this when you got a new journal. I had new journals. I'm like, I want the first page to be awesome because usually
Yeah.
I get to the third or fourth page and I'm like, I want a new journal. 'Cause
Yes.
I like journals. But just that, you know, the angst of knowing what you want to actually start off with. And just once you get past that, then just being able to fill it up and just, it is a great feeling.
I just recently had that experience actually because I finished. So I have had 2 journals for the last year and a half, where one of them was more sketch oriented with tidbits of written word, and then one was just specifically a traditional journal. Mm-hmm. And with the one that was, they're both coming on the end of their life, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, like I needed to start a new one. So I finally started a new one, and it's always sort of been a practice of mine to never like fully end one and then start another. It's like been a merged effort. So before I was fully done with this, you know, the first 2, I started the third one, and I'm like, in what you were saying, like, I just don't want, like, what I'm going through in life is a little bit, what comes to my mind is the word head ass. I don't know if that matters. Where it's just kind of like, of course it would be melancholic. Of course it would be.
You've got a lot going on.
Yeah. And so you just don't want to start it off on the foot of like, woe is me, you know? And so you try to be a bit more thoughtful about like, if I were to look back on this in 20 years, and this is the beginning of the journal that I write after all of these series of events where it's so melancholic and so depressing, if you will, things that may not make it to the published pieces model. You want it to sort of have a little bit of excitement to it, or I've turned over a new leaf,
New chapter in your
essence
life.
to it.
Yeah.
And then you find we're all just a bit too human. Like we all have a little bit of that annoying, doesn't quite ever go away, agonizing, this is cringe, this is annoying, this is me, this is human, that makes its way into the first couple pages regardless. Even if you started off on the sun is shining and it's a glorious day out.
Rainbows and unicorns.
You know.
And everything's just happy.
And I think that's part of what I've reconciled with, is that there is, as much as there is the annoyance to be dealt with just the day-to-day monotony that is human existence, where you can start off with a cup of coffee and the birds chirping, and you're going to still run into somebody who's just not going fast enough at the intersection, and you missed your red light, and here we are 30 minutes later than we wanted to be to something, right? There's both. That's what I've been really, really trying hard to live in the spectrum of both and. I've been really trying hard to not really quantify things as good or bad, but just, okay, I'm here 4 minutes past when I should have been. I'm here. And not letting there be too much weight put into one thing or the other. But going back to the journals, it's a little bit harder to do that when you have a reference point, and it's quite cringy. A little harder.
Oh. So you do written word. Do you have any events coming up?
Actually, I don't.
Or spoken word? Spoken word or written word?
So, I mean, I just have spoken, written, both of them. Spoken word, if you're doing it in front of, an audience. I am going to be at an open mic in November. Got to get the specific date, actually, in Burlington. It's going to be, let me actually get that.
Sure.
I think it's on my Instagram. She messaged me. But no, actually, like I said, my son's birthday is in November, so I always try to traditionally
5th.
take November off for the month for any like super intense commitments I have for my writing. And then November through January are when I dedicate a lot of time to sitting down and really forcing myself to do my formatting, publishing work, meeting up with clients, because I think the summer has a way of getting away with you. The fall is a season of, let me get back to you on that. And then the winter is when you really have to get back to them on that, right? So I think there's nothing coming up currently other than just, this open mic on, let me see. It's loading. I have 2 bars, so we'll see.
Well, if not,
sitting in a metal box, so
I know, right? No, it's all right.
Reception's
I
not
want to
open.
say it's like the 10th of November. I should have had that on
And
my,
that's here in
my
town?
mind. But yes.
Okay.
So it's at La Boheme.
okay.
So
Oh,
super
okay.
cute. They do it once a quarter. And Kira Bryant had asked me to come and
Okay.
perform there. So I was like, well, yeah.
Very cool.
Sounds
Very
really
cool.
fun.
Well, we can find out when that is,
Yeah.
so people can. Will you have your books available there?
I will,
Okay, and-
actually, yes.
And they're also at Burlington by the Book. Yeah.
They're at Burlington by the Book. You can get them. I supporting local businesses if you are in the Burlington area. But if you're not, you can get them anywhere books are sold by virtue of visiting my website, apachecopublishings.com. And that is S, plural. And I can give you my business card and stuff here at the end if that
Yes,
works.
do
for
that,
you.
and then I will do that as a tagline to the video
Yeah.
so that people can find you and support you.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Let me
okay.
give one of those to both of you, actually. But yeah, and I was so pleased to run into y'all at the farmers market. I feel like there was a lot of great connections to be made.
Whoops.
All good.
Yeah.
Down
it's-
there, a photographer that I ran into.
Oh yeah. Yep.
They let me know about some shows that will be going on, some drag shows and stuff in the area, which I love a good drag show. So I have to attend.
There's a lot of things going on. Burlington has a lot of different things for sure. And
we're finally getting some culture.
Yeah,
It's,
finally.
You know, we've hit a dry spell, I think, but we're getting a lot. We got the art center always doing jazz.
I love jazz.
The nightcap.
Same.
All those places that are opened up on Jefferson Street, just really good. Really
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yep. And there is just a lot of things in our area in our community. So I love living here. So it is a good place. Yes.
It seems awesome. It seems like it's really kind of coming to its own as far as our community is concerned. You have a lot of great shops, I would say, on just that main street.
And I think the big thing that I've seen lately is a lot of people are doing murals and different things, and it's just really brightening up. I think Nine Dot, I think they just had a mural put up.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah, and then,
Facing, well, of course, they're the only wall that they have facing outside towards.
not Dave's not here. Oh my gosh. Wake and Bake.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! I was like, I love
That
being there.
place looks so cute.
That is. They have really great food.
Yes, it looks just adorable. I'm like, I need to stop by and actually
And
eat there.
when they have concerts, especially the ones outside, I like the concerts outside just because it's just you can spread out a little bit more, and there's always stuff going on there. The Washington has a lot of concerts. There's a lot of the music scene. There's a lot of places.
My ex-husband actually performed at the Washington, and it was a really cool turnout. It was a really cool vibe. So
Okay,
it was awesome. Yeah.
gotcha. So
Yeah.
you've been there.
Yes, it's a nice place. I love it.
Yeah, we do have a good we have a good community. So yeah. So you've got the books. They're available at Burlington by the Book here locally or anywhere books are sold.
Yes.
Through your website as well. If somebody wanted to say, hey, she sounds like someone that I might want to, are you still taking on more clients right now?
I am.
Okay.
Yes. So I'll be taking on more clients on a more just like consulting, let's see if we're a good fit basis, right? For those first couple meetings through April 15th of this upcoming year, 2026.
Okay.
As far as just rolling conversations go, I'll be getting down to more of the nitty gritty with the clients that I currently have in my workload around that date. So sort of thinking about things in a 6 to 6 month compartmentalization. So yeah, anyone from when you hear this onward, just always reach out to me. My Instagram is at Lyss, LYSS_poetry on Instagram. And then, yes, that one's on there. And then
I don't have my glasses on.
That's okay. That's all right. And then my email, apachecopublishings at gmail.com. And all of that can be found through my website as well. But yeah, I mean, my first love is writing and sharing that writing. My second love is helping others do the same.
Very cool.
That's really what I'm after. And I everything from formatting to getting your ISBN, website development, all of that jazz. I really enjoy doing all of it in addition to like performing poetry and as an extension of that, creating community around people who are like-minded. So really all of those things are really close to my heart.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we are, was there any other announcements that you wanted? We have you're going to be doing the event down at La Boheme. We'll get the date for that and we'll add it to it. But I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. I don't know. I think you had to travel a little bit to get here.
Yeah, not too bad though.
Okay.
Not too bad.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of funny when you said the hour and a half circle around you. I moved an hour and a half from where I kind of grew up to here. And I told my daughter when she flew the coop, I said, here we are, and you can drive. There's an hour and a half. You can live anywhere. And she
didn't listen.
She did not listen.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. So, yeah.
I love it, though. I feel like you got to let them spread their wings.
We do. And then she misses the coffee. She misses the bean counter.
Yeah.
And so when we're at the bean counter, we send her pictures like, ah, ha, ha, ha. And
Little
then
slice of home.
Yes. Oh, but yeah, it's a good place to call home. So, all right. So Burlington, Southeast Iowa, visit La Boheme at their next spoken word, and we'll get the date for you guys for that. I do know a couple other performers I think that are going to be there too.
Yeah.
So,
what are your guys' thoughts on if I do a piece on the podcast?
We would love that.
But this piece is titled Life Considerations, and yeah, bear with me if it's a little bit on the longer side of things, but I promise at the end of it, it'll be well worth it. And just for some context, I wrote this when I was in the hospital post, actually I was awaiting my appendix removal. So I went in there on an appendectomy. So a rush to get my appendix removed from it bursting, and had, due to some blood tests that needed to be done, had to be there an extra day and a half longer than just let's get it out of there. Right.
Aww.
So it left me a lot of time to ruminate, a lot of time it was ripe in the COVID essence of COVIDness. So I could only have one other person in there, which was my, at the time, husband who had our child. So I spent a lot of time by myself in the quarters of the hospital room. So thank you guys for bearing with me as I read through this here live. And then hopefully folks that are listening enjoy it likewise. So this is a short titled Life Considerations. What does it mean to live a joyous and fulfilling life? How does a person decide? And maybe they feel it in their gut, like butterflies, but more bubbly. And see, I become easily overwhelmed by the unavoidable reality that we all will surely perish, fading away slowly with each passing day. And of all the things I've avoided, and downright fled from, this is one thing I can undoubtedly not. And facing the reality that an end is nearly in sight at any moment makes the chase for life successes all the more desirable. And it scares me half to death. The irony of that phrase is a subtle reality of the societal acceptance of the topic. See, we joke about it until our turn comes, until our loved ones surrender to their sorrows. And like so many others, I exist under the cover of everyday living, concealing a sense of self-denial that stores itself in the basements of my soul, buried deep beneath my frenzied fears, sharing a sheet with my insecurities and spoon-feeding my deep-rooted anxieties. And deep thought on the topic sends my mind swirling, like knotted up scribbles in the middle of my brain, tucked away and hidden from casual consciousness, only remembering their poignant pressures as I go down to address my dirty laundry. And see, as my consciousness slips into their chamber, a sliver of light breaks through the darkness, dim lit, and I dwell on their determination to fixate themselves on my forethought. See, I feel naive, ignorant, and green. My life leaps before me, and I am merely a passenger. My vessel weeps and wallows, and I will it forward, toward existence, toward survival. And my thoughts wander to tomorrow, always expecting it will arrive, greeting me with open arms. But it never does, and it never will. A lesson I learned at a young age from a sarcastic uncle as he sat and chuckled amongst his fellow schoolmates in the emptying cafeteria of the Catholic academy he attended. My grandma was the lunch lady and also our sometimes sitter. And I consider infinite endings and final beginnings, and I think of boundaries and who sets them, and have they done a good enough job? See, I think of autonomy and permanence, then of seasons, phases, old and new chapters, and of life patterns and coincidences. And see, I think of Father Time and of Mother Nature and how they approach co-parenting, our universe caught in the middle. And I ask myself, what does it mean to be right or just in a society that has rooted itself in taking and destroying, far more than it prioritizes giving and restoring? And how can we truly feel valued for no other reason than being alive, when we live amongst humans who slay, slander, and succumb to greed and earthly gain without regard or consequences, now and hereafter? And can a person feel worthy when no one will remember us at the end of it all? We will all be a footnote in our familial lineage at some point, sooner or later. And I hate the thought of my bodily presence being iced cold, stodgy, and rudely rigid. See, I'd like to think of myself as full of life, with movement in my mind, words and actions flowing through me. And what a horrid final depiction the open casket leaves for our fellow friends and family, a false representation. See, I work each day desperately to escape the sound of silence, and I fear the stillness. Dwelling on the moment I'll cease to hear a thing, and when the lights go out and the vibrato of my beating heart flattens, when my blood no longer freely flows, my form forever past tense. But then I think of Norma, and her pale pinky skin speckled with silver dollar spots, brown and beige all over. And see, Norma had an impatience about her. She stood at 4 foot 5 inches tall. And see, we shared a hospital room for a few days and my appendix needed removed unexpectedly. She was 93 years old and a retired journalist from a newspaper about an hour away from my hometown. And she leaned into herself as she walked her brittle bones from her bed to the bathroom. Her existence was an oxymoron. Her presence was merely a deceptive cloak for her frank and self-assured nature. And she was audacious and didn't seem to care much about saying the right or outwardly nice thing. Yet she was always polite in her approach, and I suppose once you reach 90 years of age, there is only so much you have left to give to anyone other than yourself. And she stayed up late next to me one night as we watched HGTV, my choice, and then the news, her choice, although I can't remember which network. And see, I was too anxious as I awaited my surgery, so I busied myself by studying her, asking questions and treading lightly, attempting to avoid placing my foot precisely in my mouth as I had unfortunately done earlier. See, somehow or another, she brought up her age, and as it slipped out of her mouth and traveled through my ears and into my mind, it was evident I was a bit shocked. And I congratulated her time on earth as if death's reward sweetens the longer it takes the human to ripen. And the look on her face was what said it all as she confirmed whether that was supposed to be a compliment. And for once, I was silent. Her time. See, I wonder how the landscape of her life would shine in the light of the golden hour glow. She said her husband passed away 9 years before, and I think part of her died and went with him. She has cancer in a new location than the type she had years prior, and I overheard her telling the doctors that if the mass they had just removed for testing was terrible enough for treatment, she simply didn't want to consider it. Not again. And see, I quivered at the thought of wielding that much agency over my existence, or the soon-to-be lack thereof. I mean, I wish these hospital curtains protected the privacy of each person more. Something thicker for situations so permeable and in need of so much transparency. And see, she was unwavering as she exclaimed this, assuring them that there would be no changing her mind. And of course, they resigned to their clipboards and faded into the background with the beeping machines and fluorescent lights. And her hand shook as she reached for water, quickly exchanging it for a sick bag, my apologies. Her insides escaped her. And see, I looked away, pretending not to see her in a moment as vulnerable and as raw as this. Perhaps she was nervous after all, and I don't ask, but I wanted to. So we talked about her husband and her friends, and how it hurt her to see them go, and she looked away when I asked her about her siblings. Forgetting often, I sat there then, remembering for a moment that although it has always been my 4 sisters and I, one day it will no longer be so. And I understood briefly why she looked away. Some things are too painful to dredge up, too horrible to remember. And for me, I can't yet bring myself to consider the loss of the loved ones I have built my life around. Another reality I'm not yet prepared to face. And she pretended not to hear me as I cried myself to sleep that night, returning the courtesy I offered to her earlier. And see, I laid there, realizing that like so many others, I may spend my last moments alive in a bed just like the one I had curled myself into right then. And so I decided, when those final days come toward me, I hope to place myself in nature, to breathe in the sweet smell of wildflowers and wheatgrasses. I imagined myself beneath blue skies and cotton clouds, amidst the caterpillars, bumblebees, and dragonflies as the tips of my toes touch softened soil. I think I'd let go easier then, allowing the wind to sweep over my sagging skin, taking it with me as it passes. And at 93, will I still be holding on tightly to the reins of my existence, or will I be like Norma, ready to wave my white flag proudly as the morning melodies sing me toward eternal slumber? And see, I hope to hear crickets with violins for legs, and the rustling of the tree branches and leaves as they dance to the rhythm and whispering of winds and ebb and flow. A reminder that this life will continue until it too reaches finality. And see, I hope to embrace each inhale deeply, with a new appreciation for the damp earth that rests beneath my tired bones, willing and ready to accept and consume me wholly, to turn over and cultivate these brittle bones lay barren once my memory on this earth fades away. And see, my heart sank deeper into my chest, and I considered if I'd be an organ donor after all.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing. And did Norma ever get to read that?
So Norma actually didn't get to read that, and I actually reached out to Norma about a month after post-op and asked if she wanted to get together for coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And she very, in her candid nature, said, you know, honey, at my age, I'm not interested in making new friends. Oh. And I said, well, I appreciate your time.
Mm-hmm.
Nonetheless, and just let her know that she had an impact on me, and yeah. But that's about as far as that went. I have her number.
Well, we all, she had an impact on you, but now through your story, she has an impact on a lot of people now too. So, yeah. So thank you so much for sharing. That was beautiful, and that was out of your first book, Dear Depression. Once again, available at Burlington by the Book and anywhere books are sold.
It's Dear Desperation.
One and the same, though. I will say, though, the nature, the tone of it is the same. Depression, desperation, I think it's all encompassing. But yes, Dear Desperation and no foul. I get it.
I lost my glasses and I was sitting there
You're
reading.
totally okay. No need to apologize at all. I promise. You're not the first person to say that. I usually go with it and say, you know what? You're correct.
Okay. May I see your book?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Desperation, people. It's desperation.
Yeah, literally no worries. Yeah, Dear Desperation. And the third book actually is a sister piece to Dear Desperation titled Sincerely Salvation. So
nice.
a bit of an upbeat, if you will, a healing journey.
Got you. Well, it's your even and, or what did you say it?
Both and.
Both and.
Yeah, it's a call and response. I think there's a spectrum for the melancholic nature, the coming of age, the storytelling, dealing with my relationship with religion, motherhood, fatherhood, my father wound, my mother wound, all of that jazz. And then Sincerely Salvation is sort of the encapsulation of processing a lot of those things, not fully, right? Because my fourth book is more encompassing of the relationship I have to unconditional love and what it means to love somebody before you really figure out yourself. And so that is titled The Things We Do for Love Before We Learn to Love Ourselves.
Okay.
So,
and do you have kind of a date where those would be published, or are they still in process?
I appreciate you asking. So I am planning on having Sincerely Salvation published by, at the very latest, fall of 2026. So I'm holding myself to a very hard timeline of August 2026.
Okay.
And there might be some sneak peeks if people were to, email, stuff like that. I am looking for a core feedback group between the months of, I would say, April and June, to just provide me a lot of that core feedback for, formatting. What jives? Does this poem really fit better here or here? Some of those A/B split testing things and seeing what makes the most sense. So if you want to be a part of that group, email me.
Okay. So email her if you want to be part of the group, if you want her to be your book buddy and get your stuff published, and come see her down at the La Boheme at their spoken word event. Date to be announced later, because I don't know when
Fill
it
is.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's really been a pleasure, and I've really enjoyed getting to, know you two a little bit more, and I appreciate your guys' just outward mentality of connecting with people in real time. Mm-hmm. And then the second layer to that is following up on that front. I think it's easy to just be out and about when you're in a stream of connectivity and say, let's connect. But I really admire your guys' ability to hone in on that and reel people back in to kind of bring those action items to life. So thanks for letting me be a part of that.
Well, we are very glad that you took a journey with us on the King Kong Trail. And Southeast Iowa, I think that is going to do it for this edition of the King Kong Trail. And come back next week. We will have, actually, I think we have.
We don't have anybody scheduled.
We might just have to talk.